I'm John. Welcome to Twig Archery. You know, over the last few years, we've had a lot of beginners new to archery, and I've had a lot of people asking me about twisted limbs on recurve limbs. Recurves always have a tendency to want to get a twist on the limb tips more so than a longbow would. And the higher the poundage of the bow, the less chance it's probably going to twist. The lower the poundage, they may have a tendency to want to twist a little bit more. And that's mainly because the wood is much thinner through here in the inner core of the limb. So you can possibly develop a twist on the limb tips. Storage of the bow has a lot to do also with whether the limbs will twist or not. You never want to just stand the bow in a corner somewhere, strung or unstrung, because that would put pressure on that lower limb and could cause it to twist. So the old method of between the leg straightening and that also puts a twist on the lower limb. So you always want to use a stringer. You never want to do the old method between the leg straightening or stringing. Years ago, I've straightened a lot of bows over the years and salvaged a lot of bows that probably would have been thrown out, and just by working with the wood itself, by retwisting it myself. And I would always carry a stringer with me if I went to a yard sale or wherever, because when you string a bow up, I asked the person, is it okay if I would string the bow up? They would say okay. I would string it. When you string a bow up, that amplifies the amount of twist you'll see in a limb. Without the string on there, it's a little harder to see it. You just can't pick it up quite as well. So I would always carry like a 60-inch string with me, and that way I could string up bows and test to see how they were. But a lot of bows were twisted, and if the twist is just a little bit, minor twist, it's not a big deal. But you can still work that out. If it gets too severe, then it becomes a danger factor, because I've actually seen bows that were twisted so bad when you drew them back, the string would actually come right off, because the limb twists so much when you're at full draw, the string would actually want to come right on off of there. So that would be a bow that would be pretty bad, and would just be a bow that more than likely would just be what we call wall hanger. You wouldn't want to shoot it, and you may not ever be able to straighten it out because it's just too far gone. But if it has a minor twist, or if you develop a minor twist, the best way to get that out is just look down the bow this way and see if it's out. Make sure if your string is not staying in that string groove here, what you do in this particular bow right here, it's out a little, just a little bit here. But what you do is you just look down there, and then you just twist the string in the opposite direction, like this. The limb tip, I should say. You bend it, and that'll bring it in there. Actually, went a little bit too much there. The higher poundage the limb, the more pressure you're going to have to put to it in order to straighten that out. And then once you get it straightened out, where the string falls right in the groove, that's what you want. Down here, the bottom one's out just a little bit. When I look down it this way, I don't hardly see it, but I can see it here in the string groove a little bit. So it wants to be twisted this way a little bit. Don't be afraid to lay into it a little bit. I mean, you got to give it some pressure to get it over, and to where she'll stay in there. You might even want to go overboard a little bit, because more likely it's going to want to go back again until eventually the wood will take that memory. And it's hard to say how long. You would always want to, how long it's going to take for it to straighten out, that is. You would always want to just leave the bow strung. You have to leave the bow strung after you've done that. And you hang it from a ceiling on a couple of hooks like this. That's probably the best method that I found over the years. And but it may take anywhere from a week. If you come in every day and look at your bow and you tweak it a little bit on those limb tips, it may take a week. I've had some bows that took 6 months. Probably the hardest bow I ever tried to straighten was actually a foam core, not a wood core. Most of the bows that we sell here are all wood core with maple. But if you ever get a foam core limb, they seem to be even harder to straighten. They just don't seem to have that memory of the wood that wood has. So it's generally, in my opinion, easier to straighten a wood core than it would be a foam core. I would call if you did have a foam core, I would call, somebody that, where you got the bow from, the manufacturer, or the distributor, and find out what their recommendations would be on how to get that twist out of there on a foam core. Because the twisting thing, it will work, but I think I had one that took me about 2 years before it come out. Most people don't want to wait around 2 years to get that out of there. So, but anyways, that's the tip of the day here, I guess, for straightening that out. Like I say, just a little bit, it's not a big deal, but even if it's out a little bit, I would still tweak it a little bit and leave the bow strung. Doesn't hurt to leave a recurve strung like this. You can leave it strung for weeks at a time. And I've left bows strung for actually years myself and never really had any effect on them at all. That's the tip for today, and we thank you for joining us here at Twig Archery. And remember to shoot twig, and we'll see you next time.